do what our heart calls us to do. Wow, it's Labor Day weekend. Where did the summer go? I don't know about any of you, but for me it seems like it's just gone by that quick. And I didn't get everything done that I wanted to get done. Okay. Labor Day, it's an interesting holiday. Do you ever get flowers on Labor Day? Do you ever get a card on Labor Day? I mean, this is one of the very few holidays that the greeting card industry and the floral industry have not been able to participate in very much. But it's always great for people to have the day off. I was looking, in preparation for my talk this morning, I was looking at the history of Labor Day. And you know, I don't think I've ever really looked closely at it before, and it's really quite interesting. In the latter 1800s, the working conditions were terrible. The average American worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, I don't know if any of you can imagine that, but I certainly cannot. Now, the labor movement, the unions stepped in and made a definite difference in that. But it wasn't a pretty battle. And Labor Day, you know, I always kind of thought that Congress was just celebrating the workers and so happy about what was happening, so happy that the people were getting better working conditions. But apparently that's not exactly how it happened. There were bloody fights and bloody strikes, and after one of them, in which a dozen striking workers were killed by government troops, President Grover Cleveland said, "Okay, we need to make peace here. We need to make peace. You've been asking for a Labor Day. We will give it to you as a federal holiday." And so it was a bridge building event. And of course, today we take it as just a day off, a long weekend, so we can go and travel and do whatever we want to do. But at that time, I mean, this was major because there were children, 5 and 6 years old, working across the country in mines, in mills, in all sorts of things. Now, I don't know if you can imagine 5, but that's pretty little. And that is one of the things that we are celebrating today, that no longer happens in our country. So the work that was done by the labor movement and the unions in those days has made a big difference in our life. And what we know is that even though that has happened, and American workers are much better off than they used to be, there is still so much that needs to be done in order to create a world that works for everyone. In the last couple of weeks, it seems like it's been in my face that the world is not working for a lot of people. 3 things have kind of come to my attention. A couple of weeks ago, Mary and I went to the Sister Carmen Faith Breakfast. It's a breakfast that they have, I think, once a year. Sister Carmen Community Center is a non-religious, nonprofit organization that does a lot in our community. They help people with food, they help people with housing, they help people get job skills, they help people uplift their lives and live the kinds of lives that we all want to live. They do powerful work in our community. And so as Mary and I were at that breakfast, the people from Sister Carmen were sharing that there is still so much need. I mean, there are hardworking parents who are working as hard as they can, especially single parents, and still don't have enough money to pay their rent, pay for childcare, and buy quality food for their children. So that's a local thing that's happening. So that was the first thing that just really came to my attention. The second thing is the Black Lives Matter. That is something that has came to my attention first in the newspaper, our local newspaper, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. The Unitarian Church Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, I'm just gonna say the Unitarians, they put up a Black Lives Matter banner after a great deal of discussion in their congregation about whether or not it was an appropriate thing to do, whether or not it was a thing that they wanted to step out and do, knowing that it was risky, knowing that there would be feedback, knowing that there would be pushback. And so they put up this big banner, and within a couple of weeks, it was defaced and stolen. And they felt really strongly about it. I mean, this was an important issue to them. And so they put up another banner. That also was stolen. Now, they just put up the third banner. And one of the things that they mentioned, because I met one of our congregants and I met with the minister and some of their social justice people earlier in the week, and they said what was really interesting is that the people that took down the banner did it very carefully. There was no damage to the places where it was attached. It was obviously done with care, and yet it keeps being taken down. And so our world, even though it's working for some of us, is not working equally for people of color, not working equally for those of us, for those who are not white, not those of us, those who are not white. And because we live in a community that is pretty vanilla, I think sometimes we don't realize some of the larger issues. Sometimes we don't realize that we live in a country where Black babies, Black infants, die twice as often as white babies. It's a system that expels Black kids from school 5 times more often than white kids. We live in a country where it is more likely that a Black teenager will die than that they will graduate from college. We live in a system where police kill Black people 21 times more often than they kill white people. And we live in a system, a country, where more Black men are imprisoned than were held in bondage in slavery. Now, there are lots of discussions that can happen around that. I'm willing to have any of those discussions, as groups, as individuals, because I think it's really, really important. So they put up their banner. Now, Ellen Laverdure from the Unitarian Church wrote in a newspaper editorial, "The Black Lives Matter movement has been a voice waking white people up to the fact that too often our culture sees Black folks as expendable. This is a difficult truth to accept. Black Lives Matter challenges us to hear the voices of people of color, to understand their truths, to empathize, and to act." And the movement is getting our attention in a way that no milder approaches have not. If we're genuinely interested in ending the corrosive effects of racism, we need to make space in our public discourse and in our minds and in our hearts to open up to I've now left what she's written, to open up to the beliefs that we have come into, the thoughts that we maybe were raised with, and to look deeper to see where each of those of us who are privileged white people get to understand somewhat what it might be like for others. So on a local level, there's Sister Carmen. On what I think of as a broader level, or national level especially, there's Black Lives Matter. And then there's the world level. Just this week, a congregant came to me and we talked about the fact that there are people, children, going hungry. Now, those of you who were here last week may remember that in the little video that we shared about children sharing, which was so sweet, at the end it said 3.5 million children die each year from malnutrition. Now, connected to that, there are issues around how we are using our resources and how we are caring for our planet. So these are just the three ways that have seem to be in my face in the last couple of weeks as issues that are important. Locally, Sister Carmen, where we get a chance to help our neighbors. On a broader level, Black Lives Matter, doing what we can do as individuals in a group to fight systemic racism. And then on a world level, there's that sharing of food, sharing of resources, choosing food and resources, and taking care of our planet. So we have some choices about what, if anything, we will do. Our theme for the year is a world that works for everyone. Our theme for this month is service to the world. And so we get to look at what we want to do. You want to come with me and volunteer at the food bank? Great, let me know, let's do it. You want to do something else? Let me know what that is, if it's something that the congregation can be involved in. I really am interested in hearing from all of you. I mean, does this mean anything for us to talk about this stuff? Is this something you want to talk about? Is this something you want to make a difference in the world about? So email me, text me, call me, catch me after service. Let me know. Because, I want to just get the heartbeat of our community around this. See where we are. Of course, all of this may seem like, okay, what does this have to do with my spirituality? Why are we even talking about this stuff on Sunday in church? It's because of our vision. It's because of our global vision this year of making a world that works for everyone. So what can we do to create and serve a world that works for everyone, and why would we want to? Now, we have come to this planet at an interesting time. There's a lot going on, and some of it is disturbing. Much of it is wonderful, and some of it is disturbing. So I'm kind of curious, why do you think your soul chose to show up at this time on this planet, in this place? I mean, why are we here? Do you think that it's so that we could be part of the solution? That we could be part of the change, part of the healing, part of the light that is so needed in our world right now? I think maybe so. So we talk about the principle of oneness. We talk about how there is one life, one essence that runs in, through, and as everything, that expresses as each one of us, that expresses as our planet, that expresses as all that is. Each of you is part of that oneness. We are connected as humanity. What affects me affects you. As I thrive, you thrive. As you grow in spiritual knowledge and wisdom, I grow in spiritual knowledge and wisdom. We are one with everyone on the planet, and denying it does not make it not so. So what do? Of course, we start with prayer. I mean, it's what we do, right? Yeah. But wait, Ernest Holmes, our founder, told us to treat, and of course treatment is our form of affirmative prayer, he told us to treat and move your feet. He said, to be effective, prayer must be affirmative, but it is not enough merely to affirm the presence of God. We must add to this realization the thought that divine intelligence is acting in and through us now. Prayer is not wishful or wistful thinking, nor is it an escape from objective reality. To be lost merely in our prayers might terminate in an unconscious desire to escape from the activities of life. Therefore, we affirm that divine intelligence not only knows what to do, it impels us to act on its knowing. So Jesus said, love your neighbor. And we might not have the whole picture, but I really don't think he said, when it's convenient, if you have the time, if it's easy and painless. No, the great master said, love your neighbor as yourself. And so we get to look at that. We get to look at living this spirit-led life. And as we live a spirit-led life, that includes loving our neighbor as ourselves, and sometimes that means social action. Sometimes that means social action. With spirit-led social action, there's a deep listening, a deep willingness to learn, to see what's going on around us, and a willingness to engage in honest and nonviolent communication. Martin Luther King said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What are you doing for others? Now, what you're called to do may not be huge. Mother Teresa, who has been canonized and has now been pronounced a saint, known as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, she knew about service. And she knew about the joy that service brings. And she knew that even making a small difference is important. She said, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. She also said, what we do is less than a drop in the ocean. But if it were missing, the ocean would lack something. We each get to do our part. We each get to do our part. We're called to serve, and we're called to serve with joy, not with a sense of labor, but with a sense of service that includes joy. And we know that as we serve, we are healed. As we help, we're energized. When we share, we are energized. That's what we have come here for. Part of the flow of the universe is that flow of good feeling when we do good stuff. That feeling that we all love. Now, of course, we're not all called to serve in the same way. Spirit created each one to be unique. Each of you, some of you are really unique. Just saying. We are called to serve in our unique ways. Ernest Holmes said, since God does not manifest itself alike in every person, being unique in each one, no one need feel out of place in the universe in which they live. There is a right something for each one to do. There is a right something for each one to do. And make no mistake, each of us will find joy as we share in our own unique way. Tagore wrote, I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted, and behold, service was joy. So what if you're not sure how or where to serve? I have 3 quick suggestions. First of all, look at your passions and your interests. Talk to people and be willing to be enthused. Allow your enthusiasm to be ignited. Secondly, pray about it. That's what we do. When we pray for guidance, we are given guidance. Now, it can come in some interesting ways, so watch what you pray for. But when we pray for guidance, it comes to us in just the way we need it to. And ask your heart, what tugs at your heartstrings? What are the issues that make you tear up a little bit, make you want to stand up and scream? What are the issues that your heart is calling you to act on? Because you know, we can totally trust your heart. Even if we don't know where to start, we can ask for that guidance, follow our hearts, and we will be led. So I'm here to remind you of your magnificence and to remind you that you can make a difference. And together, we can make a difference. What do you say? You up for it? Okay. I invite practitioners to stand with me in prayer. So I am grateful. I am so, so grateful. Grateful to be reminded, to have the opportunity to remember that there is only this one source, that is service, that is love. That source that calls us to be all that we can be. That calls us to serve from a place of love and not labor. I know that with this divine urge to serve comes everything that is needed to make that a reality. Comes all the support, all the connections, all of the information, all of the motivation that allows us to step into our greatest yet to be, serving where we are called to serve. I know that that is true for each individual here, and I know that that is true for Center for Spiritual Living Boulder Valley. And so I know that as each of us goes forward this week, our paths are filled with joy, filled with opportunities to serve, filled with guidance. And what I claim is that nothing can block this. Nothing can block our receptivity to doing what we have come here to do in love and in joy. I absolutely know that the resources of spirit are unlimited, and all of them are available to us as we go forward this week. And so I am grateful, grateful, grateful. Grateful for this time together. Grateful for the opportunity to even look at things that might be a bit uncomfortable. Grateful because it is opening our hearts and opening our minds. And in this gratitude, I simply let all of this go, knowing that my words have been heard by the divine, and that already, even as we speak, all that needs to happen for the fulfillment of this prayer is happening now. It is ours to use, it is ours to enjoy, it is ours to share for the highest good and greatest joy of all concerned. And if you would like to claim these truths, I invite you to say with me, and so it is.